Cars in the 1970s often embraced bold designs that left many scratching their heads. From the quirky AMC Gremlin to the eccentric Pontiac Grand, these rides were anything but conventional. But is it possible that their charm lies precisely in their unapologetic oddness? One of these so-called ugly cars had a unique appeal that's missing from today's sleek but predictable models. Join us as we revisit 13 ugly but fun cars in the 1970s we want back. Number 13. 1973 Pontiac Grand Dam. The 1973 Pontiac Grand Dam stands out as a unique mix of performance and design in the 1970s automotive scene. Introduced as a mid-size car, the Grand Dam was Pontiac's effort to blend the luxury of the Grand Prix with the power of the GTO. Produced from 1973 to 1975, the Grand Dam debuted in '73, built on GM's A-body platform, which it shared with models like the Chevrolet Chevelle and Oldsmobile Cutlass. One of the most distinctive aspects of the 1973 Grand Dam was its Endura front bumper, designed to absorb impacts without damage. This feature, along with NACA hood scoops and honeycomb-style wheels, gave the car a sporty yet unconventional appearance. Inside, it offered luxury with faux wood grain trim, bucket seats, and a comprehensive gauge cluster. The Grand Dam was powered by V8 engines, with the most notable being the 455 cubic inch V8 that produced about 250 horsepower. This engine provided strong performance, making the Grand Dam a competitive model in its class. Despite its power and luxury, the Grand Dam's design was divisive. The large, protruding Endura bumper and overall bulky appearance were seen as unattractive by many. The combination of sporty features with a heavy, almost clumsy body design didn't appeal to everyone, leading some to consider it an ugly car despite its merits. Number 12. 1974 Bricklin SV1. The 1974 Bricklin SV1 is a distinctive vehicle from the 1970s, renowned for its bold design and focus on safety. Developed by American entrepreneur Malcolm Bricklin, the SV1, which stands for Safety Vehicle 1, was in production from 1974 to 1975. The car was built in St. John, New Brunswick, Canada, and was intended to be a sports car that prioritized safety. It featured a steel chassis combined with a composite body made from acrylic resin bonded to fiberglass. Although the car introduced several innovative features, its production was cut short in late 1975 due to financial challenges. One of the standout elements of the Bricklin SV1 was its gull-wing doors, which were hydraulically operated. These doors, along with the integrated rollover structure and energy-absorbing bumpers, highlighted the car's safety-first approach. The body panels were color-impregnated, meaning they did not require painting, which was a novel concept at the time. Under the hood, the '74 model was powered by a 360 cubic inch AMC V8 engine that generated around 220 horsepower. This engine offered reasonable performance, though it was not as powerful as some of the other cars of that era. The Bricklin SV1's design sparked mixed reactions. While some admired its futuristic appearance, others found it unattractive. The large protruding bumpers and bulky overall design, coupled with the unconventional gull-wing doors, led some to label the car as the worst. Number 11. 1968 Lamborghini Espana. The Lamborghini Espana, designed by Marcello Gandini at Bertone, was Lamborghini's take on creating a four-seater Grand Touring coupe. Produced between 1968 and 1978, it became one of Lamborghini's longest-running models, with a total of 1,217 units made during its 10-year production span. The production was divided into three distinct series: Series 1 from 1968 to 1970, Series 2 from 70 to 72, and Series 3 from 72 to 78. The Espana stood out for its spacious interior, which was particularly roomy for a grand touring car. This included a large passenger compartment and a generous trunk, making it a practical choice for long-distance travel. Its design featured unique elements such as twin headlights on each side, a full-width chrome bumper, and NACA ducts on the hood. The dashboard was inspired by the Marzal concept car with octagonal instrument housings. The car was also equipped with luxury features like air conditioning, power windows, and 2 gas caps connected to the same tank. Under the hood, the Espana housed a 3,929 cubic centimeters V12 engine. In the Series 1, this engine produced 325 horsepower, while in the Series 2 it reached up to 350 horsepower, allowing the car to achieve a top speed of around 150 miles per hour. Despite its powerful performance, the Espana's unusual styling led many to view it as unattractive, earning it a reputation as one of the ugliest cars in automotive history. Number 10. 1970 AMC Gremlin. The AMC Gremlin was produced in the U.S. from 1970 to 1978 and continued in Mexico until 1983. It was AMC's response to the growing demand for smaller, more fuel-efficient cars during the 1970s. The Gremlin was designed quickly and economically, resulting in one of its most distinctive features, a truncated rear end. This design choice, which gave the car a unique and almost cartoonish appearance, was achieved by simply cutting off the back of the AMC's existing Hornet model. The car's large, almost vertical rear hatch was also unusual for its time, adding to its distinctive look. Over its production run, the Gremlin offered several engine options. The base model was equipped with a 1,984 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine, while larger engines were available, including a 3,801 cubic centimeters inline-6 and even a 4,978 cubic centimeters V8. Depending on the engine, the power output varied significantly, ranging from around 100 horsepower for the smaller engines to over 150 horsepower for the V8. The Gremlin's unconventional design, especially its abrupt rear end and boxy shape, led many to consider it unattractive. Its appearance was often described as awkward and unbalanced, contributing to its reputation as one of the ugly cars of the 1970s. Despite this, the Gremlin has a niche group of enthusiasts who appreciate its quirky charm. Number 9. 1973 Volkswagen Thing. The 1973 Volkswagen Thing, also known as the Type 181, is a truly unique vehicle with a distinctive place in automotive history. Initially designed as a military vehicle, the Thing was later introduced to the civilian market in the early 70s. Volkswagen produced this vehicle from 1968 to 1983, but it was only available in the U.S. from 1973 to 1974. Depending on the country, it had different names, such as the Safari in Mexico, the Trekker in the UK, and the Kierwagen in West Germany. The Thing's design was notably utilitarian, featuring removable doors, a fold-down windshield, and a convertible top, making it highly versatile and easy to repair. Built on the same chassis as the pre-1968 Volkswagen microbus, it had a sturdy and rugged construction. This durability added to its appeal, particularly for those seeking a functional, no-frills vehicle. The 1973 Volkswagen Thing was powered by a 1.6-liter air-cooled flat-4 engine that produced 46 horsepower. Paired with a 4-speed manual transmission, it wasn't fast, taking more than 23 seconds to reach 60 miles per hour. However, this modest performance was adequate for its intended use, emphasizing reliability over speed. Despite its practical features, the Thing's boxy angular design and flat body panels stood out starkly against the more streamlined cars of its time. Its appearance, reminiscent of a military vehicle, led many to view it as unattractive, earning it a reputation for being one of the more unusual-looking vehicles of the era. Number 8. 1970 Buick Riviera. The Buick Riviera made its debut in 1963, but the 1970 model signaled the end of its second generation, which spanned from 1966 to 1970. During this period, the car's design became more aggressive and unique, reflecting a shift in automotive styling trends. The 1970 Riviera stood out with its distinctive boat-tail rear end, a dramatic change from the more conservative designs of earlier models. This design was influenced by the 1963 Corvette Stingray, giving the Riviera a sleek, fastback appearance. Additionally, the car featured hidden headlights, a long hood, and a short deck, which were iconic elements of the muscle cars of that era. Beneath the hood, the 1970 Riviera housed a powerful 7.5-liter V8 engine, equivalent to 455 cubic inches. This engine generated an impressive 370 horsepower and 510 pound-feet of torque, making the Riviera one of the most powerful cars of its time. The engine was paired with a 3-speed automatic transmission, offering a smooth yet thrilling driving experience. While some admired its bold and unique style, others found it awkward and unattractive, often comparing the rear end to a catfish or a bathtub due to its unusual shape. This, along with the car's large size and heavy proportions, led many to view the Riviera as unattractive. Number 7. 1975 AMC Pacer. The AMC Pacer, produced from 1975 to 1980, was created during a period when American Motors Corporation anticipated a demand for smaller, more fuel-efficient cars due to the oil crisis of the 1970s. This forward-thinking approach led to the design of the Pacer, which stood out for its unique features and bold design choices. One of the most distinctive aspects of the Pacer was its width, measuring 77.3 inches, which was comparable to many full-size cars of the time. This earned it the nickname the first wide small car. The Pacer also had an asymmetrical design, with the passenger side door being longer than the driver's side to make rear seat access easier. Its large glass area, including a wraparound rear window, provided excellent visibility but contributed to its unconventional appearance. Under the hood, the 1975 Pacer offered two inline-six engines, a 3.8-liter and a 4.2-liter, producing between 100 to 120 horsepower. Although not powerful by modern standards, these engines were adequate for the Pacer's size. However, the Pacer's unusual styling with its low, wide stance and bulbous shape led some to criticize it, with some comparing it to an overfed toad. This design, combined with the asymmetrical doors and large glass hatch, made the Pacer a frequent target of mockery. Number 6. 1977 Ford Pinto. The Ford Pinto was introduced in 1971 as Ford's response to the increasing demand for smaller, more economical cars. It remained in production until 1980, with the 1977 model being particularly well known, but for unfortunate reasons. The 77 Pinto was offered in different body styles, including a 2-door sedan, a 3-door hatchback, and a 2-door station wagon. One of its notable features was its unibody construction, which was a relatively new approach for American cars at that time. The Pinto was designed to be affordable and fuel-efficient, a critical factor during the oil crisis of the 1970s. Under the hood, the 1977 Ford Pinto offered several engine options, including a 2.3-liter inline-4 engine that generated approximately 88 horsepower. While this engine was not very powerful, it was sufficient for the car's light weight, which ranged between 2,015 pounds and 2,270 pounds. Despite its practicality, the Pinto's design was often criticized for its awkward proportions and unattractive appearance. The front bumper stuck out noticeably, giving the car a somewhat silly look. Most troubling was its tendency to catch fire upon rear impact due to a poorly designed fuel tank, leading to accidents, injuries, and widespread public criticism. Number 5. 1976 Chevrolet Chevette. The Chevrolet Chevette was produced from 1976 to 1987, serving as Chevrolet's entry-level subcompact vehicle after replacing the Vega. It was built on General Motors' Global T platform, which was also used for various international models. The Chevette came in 3-door or 5-door hatchback versions and featured a front engine, rear wheel drive layout, which was somewhat unusual for subcompact cars at the time. The car was designed to be lightweight and economical, with an emphasis on simplicity and affordability. Standard features included rack and pinion steering, front disc brakes, and front bucket seats. Under the hood, the 1976 Chevette was equipped with a 1.4-liter inline-4 engine that generated around 60 horsepower. While this power output might not seem impressive, it was sufficient for the car's lightweight build, which weighed under 1 ton. One of the Chevette's main selling points was its fuel efficiency, with the base engine achieving up to 40 miles per gallon on the highway. However, the design of the 1976 Chevrolet Chevette was widely criticized for being outdated even at its launch. Its boxy shape and lack of aesthetic appeal made it a target for criticism, particularly the front end, which was considered unattractive. Despite its design flaws, the Chevette was a commercial success, selling 450,000 units in 1980 alone, largely due to its low price. Number 4. 1978 Subaru Brat. The Subaru Brat, produced from 1978 to 1994, was developed from the Subaru Leon station wagon to compete with small trucks like the Chevrolet El Camino and Ford Ranchero. Interestingly, the Brat was never sold in Japan, its home country, making it an export-only model. One of the most unique aspects of the Subaru Brat was its rear-facing jump seats in the cargo bed. These seats were installed to classify the vehicle as a passenger car, allowing Subaru to avoid the higher import tariffs imposed on light trucks. The Brat also came with a part-time four-wheel drive system that could be activated with a simple switch, making it versatile for off-road use. When it came to performance, the 1978 Brat was equipped with a 1.6-liter EA71 Boxer 4 engine, producing 67 horsepower and 81 pound-feet of torque. This engine was paired with a 4-speed manual transmission. Later models saw an increase in engine displacement to 1.8 liters, which boosted the power output to 73 horsepower. Despite its practicality, the Subaru Brat was often criticized for its awkward and unconventional design. Its lines and proportions were seen as mismatched, giving it a somewhat comical appearance. Nevertheless, the Brat found a niche market and gained a dedicated following. Number 3. 1970 Bond Bug. The 1970 Bond Bug is a distinct and unusual vehicle that holds a special place in automotive history. Designed by Tom Caron of Ogle Design for Reliant Motor Company, the Bond Bug was produced between 1970 and 1974. This three-wheeled microcar initially rolled off the production line at Bond Cars Limited factory before manufacturing was moved to Reliant's Tamworth factory. The Bond Bug was launched with considerable excitement, presented as a fresh approach to transportation. Its striking wedge shape, lift-up canopy, and side screens in place of traditional doors made it stand out from other cars of its time. Under the hood, the Bond Bug was powered by a front-mounted 700 cubic centimeter Reliant light alloy 4-cylinder engine. This engine delivered 29 brake horsepower in the 700 and 700E models and 31 brake horsepower in the 700 ES model. The 700 ES also featured a redesigned cylinder head, which increased the compression ratio and enhanced the torque. However, despite its innovative design, the Bond Bug was often seen as unattractive. Its bright orange color and unconventional three-wheel structure led to it being compared to a cheap hot tub fitted with a windshield and headlights. Only 2,270 units of the Bond Bug were produced during its 4-year run. Number 2. 1978 Volvo 262C. The 1978 Volvo 262C is an interesting car from the late 1970s, known for its unique design and status as Volvo's first attempt at entering the luxury car market. Produced between 1977 and 1981, only 6,622 of these cars were made. The car was designed by Jan Wilsgaard and built by Bertone in Turin, Italy, based on the Volvo 260 series. The 262C was aimed mainly at the U.S. market, where it stood out with its distinctive lowered roofline. The roof was about 100 millimeters lower than the standard 260 sedans, which gave the car a sleek appearance, but also led to a more cramped interior with limited headroom. Under the hood, the 262C was powered by a 2.7-liter PRV V6 engine developed in collaboration with Peugeot and Renault. This engine produced 125 horsepower and was available with either a 3-speed automatic transmission or a 4-speed manual transmission with overdrive. One of the car's most notable features was its vinyl-covered roof, which gave it a unique look. However, the boxy design with many square angles and rigid lines did not appeal to everyone, and the vinyl top was often criticized for looking out of place on a luxury car. Despite its design quirks, the 262C offered several luxury features, including power windows and mirrors, central locking, cruise control, air conditioning, heated front seats, and a leather interior. Number 1. 1971 Mercury Cougar. The 1971 Mercury Cougar stands out in automotive history for its unique and somewhat controversial design. It was the start of the second generation of Cougars, which were produced from 1971 to 1973. Originally, the Cougar was introduced as a more luxurious and larger version of the Ford Mustang. However, by 1971, it had become significantly bigger and heavier, moving away from its sporty roots. One of the most noticeable features of the 1971 Cougar was its size. Measuring about 17 feet long and weighing around 4,000 pounds, it was an unusually large two-door sports car. This bulkiness conflicted with its goal of being a sporty vehicle. The standard engine was a 351 cubic inch V8, which produced about 240 horsepower. For those who wanted more power, there was an optional 429 cubic inch Cobra Jet V8 that delivered a strong 370 horsepower. The design of the 1971 Cougar was a big change from earlier models. It had elongated headlights and a grille that some thought looked like a fox's snout. The car's boxy tank-like appearance, along with its vinyl roof and many square angles, led to it being considered one of the least attractive cars of its era. Despite its controversial looks, the 1971 Cougar had some unique features. It was available as both a hardtop and a convertible, and the XR7 model included extra luxury features like leather seats and a tachometer. The Cougar also had high back bucket seats, a mini console, and sequential turn signals, which were quite advanced for its time. So there you have it, 13 cars of the 1970s that may have been considered ugly but are undeniably fun. Which of these quirky classics would you love to see make a comeback? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more nostalgic car content.